Good morning, Flosstube. My name is Laura, and I'd like to welcome you to Stitching by the Shore, my channel all about cross stitch with a little bit of paper crafting thrown in too. Happy Friday morning. It is nice and sunny here this morning, although I think we're getting rain tomorrow, of all days. But it is the way it is. I'll talk about that in life. If you are new, I want to say welcome. Thank you so much for pressing play and giving my channel a try. I hope you like what you see. Hit subscribe. Come join us from video to video, and if you have any questions, feel free to ask, and I'll do my very best to answer them. I don't always know, but I can Google sometimes with the best of them, so I can try to figure it out if possible. And then we just ask each other too, so that's always helpful. And if you're a returning stitching friend, as always, you know how much I do appreciate you. I so much enjoy talking stitching with friends. Every video, every week is what I've been able to do so far, and hopefully we can continue that schedule. And it's just like sitting down. I have my cup of tea. This morning is in the summertime, I really do enjoy my strawberry hibiscus. So that's what I have this morning. And it has a nice strawberry aroma in my room right now because it is definitely one that you can get all your senses in on. And we're just sitting and chatting and talking stitching. I have no finishes this week, full finishes. There was no way. I was lucky to get stitching done this week for the most part. So I really didn't get into the craft room for anything else besides that. And no paper crafting to talk of. But before I talk projects of what I have to show you, I wanted to talk gnomes. So if you are new, I stitch several different patterned holiday gnomes. One's like a summer, my sunflower's summer, some of them are holidays, one's winter, seasonal, holiday, you name it, from Wonderland, Ukraine. And in my last video, I talked about when I went to go look for it to show you what it looks like, I couldn't find it on the site and I wasn't sure what was happening. So I had a couple different responses. If you may, sometimes if you go through the comments, you'll see people answer some of the questions in the comments. And somebody did answer and say that they have another site that the gnomes are at, and that if I was looking for the gnomes to go there. And so I wanted to show you. So the new site is Wonder Stitch UA. So and I'll link both sites down below in the description box. Let me write myself a note for that, gnome shops. If I don't write down notes, sometimes I will not remember what I talked about. So if you see, that's their banner. So that tells you right there that they have the gnomes, and these are all of the style of the gnome that I stitch. 1, 2, 3 of the, I think I have 4 gnomes going. 3 of the 4 are in that banner, or their seasons are, and holidays. What I did was I just put in the search box, I put gnomes, and you'll see, and as you scroll, there'll be a few other styles that do come up, but at the very top is mostly where they have the style of gnome that I have been stitching. So if you are looking for those gnomes and you were worried because you didn't get a chance to get them, right now on Friday, May 12th, they are 50% off, and you get all 3 patterns for that 50%, for that one price. But I don't know how long. They frequently do have sales, so if you miss one, you might be able to get another one, type of thing. So that would be Wonder Stitch UA. Now, during the week, I did get a really awesome message on Instagram from Megan. Megan is Georgia Girl Stitching. If you're not watching her, please, I'm going to link her in the Flosstubers Mentioned because she's so much fun. I really enjoy it. Her stitching's beautiful. She has a great eye for color, and she's just a really lovely person. So she messaged me and said that she contacted Wonderland Ukraine because there was a gnome that she wanted that she hadn't gotten before. And so they sent her a response, and they said that they had moved their gnomes over to that Wonder Stitch UA. And just as an extra aside, that artist is no longer drawing the gnomes for them. They do have another artist. So I went to Wonderland Ukraine, which I'll also link below, because I wanted to see, and I again searched gnomes so I could come up. And again, they have different styles, but in the styles that we have been used to and we have been looking at with what I've been stitching, this is the new style, and they have two listed. One is a set of Halloween gnomes and one is a Patriotic USA set. So let me show you those. So that's what the new style of gnome is. And for some reason, they still have the Easter gnome in their shop. So I can actually show you the Patriotic, that's the new style of drawing, and the Easter is the old artist's drawing. I haven't gotten the new sets for the patterns, so I really don't know anything about them. I don't know the size, if they're similar, because the other size they're pretty tall. Let me see here. 110 by 195. I'd have to go and look and see what the other ones were. So if you're looking for the older style, it's Wonder Stitch UA, Wonderland Ukraine, which has a ton of other things as well, and patterns is still there, and they are drawing a new set of gnomes, or they have an artist who's drawing a new set of gnomes. So that's the gnome update if you were interested. Now let's just move right into the stitching of what I've done this week. I was actually kind of surprised that I got as much done as I did when I was going through my projects to make my notes, because I always make notes for my videos. I have 9 projects that I stitched on. I did really good on Saturday. I had a pretty good stitch day on Sunday, which I was joking with Mo, because usually with him around, I don't get stitching done anywhere near as much as during the week. But this week was a very busy week and still is. So my stitching has been pretty nominal. I'm hoping maybe next week we can kind of get back into a routine. So there was one day where I just barely stitched just to kind of get myself into that relaxation mode, because stitching for me is relaxing, and I got 100 stitches and that was it for the day. That's for me. I am very lucky that I have lots of time to stitch on given days, and so sometimes I can get a lot more than that. Everybody's schedule is different and what you can stitch. But so some of these may not have gotten as much progress as they would in different weeks, but it's fun to show them anyway, so let's just dive right in. So this first piece is Long May She Wave, and it's from Stitching with the Housewives. What's really ironic is I just saw that Helen D put out a video, and I'm going to write down so I can link it. She has a finishing video for her patriotic finishes, and this is one of them. I think she framed this one, which would make sense. And she did away with the chickens too. I think she has a cat on the truck, because, you know, her and her cats. Cats, I think she has 2, Emmy, or is it just 1? I don't know now. I'm not sure. I'll have to go and check. I'll have to ask her, but I know she has 1 because Emmy is always stealing her water during the videos. But anyway, so this one, if you want to see it finished in the typical beautiful Helen D finishing, just check her video if you haven't seen it yet, and I'll link it down below, or I'll link her down below. So anyway, I am changing this one up quite a bit. No chickens. I'm not going to put anything, I think, on top of the truck. What I did, since I took this chicken out, was I extended up this flower, which meant I kind of just changed a little bit of where these flowers were. You'll see, I think there's like little bees around some of the flowers and the words. I had some of those stitched. I pulled them out because it just I wasn't feeling the vibe. I'm going to keep the flag on the truck. I'm getting rid of the bunting. And then I'm not sure about the flowers at the bottom here. They may all get stitched, or I might kind of play around with that too. So I'm minimalizing it a little bit just for my style. For me, I am a little bit more of a minimalist in my stitching, in my life, decor, all of that stuff. So I chose, now this was probably started in 2020. And this is a piece of Charles Craft, because this is when I was first discovering hand dyes. And I actually like it on the blue, so I'm really thrilled I made that choice. But doing it now, I don't know if I would have chosen a choice like this, but I'm happy I did it at the time. So this is an 18 count. It was just called Navy Blue, or Navy Charles Craft, which is really thick. And I don't have a lot of other Charles Craft. I don't know if they're all like that, but it's thick. It's a solid piece. And this was from Garibaldis at the time. So that's what it looks like. And as you can see, so this came up and was extended a little bit higher. I was really hoping to get more fill-in on the truck, because I felt like that would be a good no-brainer sort of thing. But again, my week just got away from me. My goal would be to kind of do extend the truck wherever it is, do the outline, and then I can really just go to town on finishing. I am using the DMCs, not the, the DMC alternatives. I did choose the ones that she had suggested versus the Classic Colorworks, and I didn't change any of the colors in that sense. And oh, the other thing I'm going to do, some of the flowers, I don't know if you see, they're kind of like blue stripes. I'm going to fill them completely in with the blue. It's a white outline, so I'm looking at this one. And it would have blue stripes, but given that I'm doing this on navy blue, I don't know how much, you can't even really see it as much on the black on the picture. I think it would be nicer filled in with the blue. It's kind of like down here, this one is filled in. I think that'd be nice with the contrast of the white, because the white really stands off against this piece. So that's where it is. I pulled this out because categories this month is the letter O, and one of the categories is holidays, and I was able to say that the American flag is also known as Old Glory, and we fly it on the 4th of July, so there's my holiday. So that's how I got my categories piece in for this one. I don't think on the letter O I'm going to get all 12 categories, but I'll do the best I can. So this one I will do some more this month, just, and again, it probably will be fill-in, unless I'm really feeling like I want to do something else. Maybe I'll come down and finish doing the framing here, or do some flowers in the center. I don't know. I'm not really sure. Most of you, most of you have been here, but if you're new, I generally, I don't have any plans most of the time, week to week, as to what I stitch. It's pretty much, let's go through and see what I feel like. And then when I tackle a project, I don't stay in one section. I jump around quite a bit. If you stay with me and watch me do full coverages, you'll notice that there is no rhyme or reason to where I go for a full coverage. All right, next. My next piece was my 25/7. It didn't get 7 days this week. I can bet you that. I didn't bring it with me. I had to do some traveling, and with all the color changes and stuff, I just didn't feel like I would get to it. But it's called Philadelphia, and it is from Awesome Pattern Studio on Etsy. And in the description box, I list the projects that I do. I list the fabrics that I use. If I've done floss changes, I usually try to list that. And I link shops. Because linking for small shops is so, so important. You've heard me with my little spiel and my little soapbox before. Even if you don't buy, there are things you can do for a shop, and giving them a link is a super easy way to do that. And that helps them. So it's a win-win. And it makes it easier for you to find. Satsuma Street is, I think the original place where you found these little cities and everything else. And I looked at Satsuma first. I've done Amsterdam from her. I have a few others. She did not have Philadelphia. So then I went searching, and this site has a ton of cities. Maybe not everything you could think of, but I didn't really do an exhaustive search, but it has a lot of cities. I saw the Philadelphia one. I loved it. They also have a bigger version, 2 different size versions of this, so you can make it even full coverage, and it's really kind of cool. But this was perfect for my purposes. Megan, after graduation, is moving to Philly, and that's where she has her job. And so I wanted to stitch this to kind of commemorate that time in her life. And so that's what we have here. This is done on an 18 count Nantucket Sky by Fabrics by Stephanie. And 25/7. I never did it when it was first, it was first developed, and you saw people doing it, but there was really no like centralized group or anything. Melanie Watkins of the Soulful Stitcher, she created a Facebook group that is 25/7 stitching. And after that group was created, I still, wasn't necessarily doing it. And then last year, near the end of the year, I kind of fell into it, and I joined the group, and it's really fun to see what other people are doing 25/7 and share what you're doing. These things are always much more fun when you're sharing. But now I pick different things to be my 25/7. And this wasn't on the slate, but when I decided to stitch it, I said I wanted to get this one done sooner rather than later. And what's the best way to do it but to do 25 minutes a day? So that's where we are. It's been a lot of fun with all of the different color changes, but still blocks of color. It's a really nice combination of the two, blocks and changes, so that if you like a little bit of everything, this one has, obviously, there'd only be certain reasons you'd be stitching Philadelphia, but if you do, I've enjoyed it so far. And again, I just jumped all over. So I do have at this point if I'm looking at the picture, this building right here is almost the edge. There's probably a little bit more right here. And this is the bottom. So it's not a super big piece. It'll be a nice and small and compact piece. I filled in some of the colors here. I wanted to extend over there. And I just do a little bit of everything. If I want some blocks of color, this building's been nice because it's one big block. So you will see this every week until it's done, unless for some reason something else bumps it from the 25/7 rotation. Otherwise, this one is one that I do really like to do every single week, or every day, but then show it every week. So that's that. Alrighty, next. This video, because I do have stuff going on, could be a little bit shorter. I say that and then I seem to go to an hour anyway, but it may or may not. I don't want to talk too fast. I already feel like I talk fast enough as it is at times, but I don't want to rush through it. So we want to give you our stitchy time and give me my time to talk stitching, but also I'm aware of the fact that I have a lot to do today. I'm actually filming earlier than normal, although not super early. I was up early, but I didn't film super early. Okay, I had a new start. So this one I started for Rainy Day Reads, has a new stitch along, and I'm going to write down Rainy's name. It's called the hashtag Turn 40 New Leaves Sal. And basically she's turning 40 and she said to anyone, hey, you want to join me in stitching something that either has a lot of green in it or something that's literary, because she is a very big reader. And if you want to hear about reading, she does do videos about reading as well. And I chose, this was on my slate for May anyway, how perfectly wonderful that was. And so this is the Wizard of Oz tree from Tiny Modernist. It has green and it's literary, so I'm all set. And oh, I don't have it with me. I don't know if well, when I first got it, I would have shown it to you, but I actually have a little bag that when I travel, even just like to my needlework stitch group or whatever, I just have this small bag that my projects will just slide right in, and then I have all my other accessories to stitch with, and it is actually Wizard of Oz fabric. So we're just all Wizard of Ozing all over the place. But I got a start on this one, not a huge one, but a fun start. So let me show you from a distance. This is beautiful, beautiful fabric. It is an 18 count opal ice blue from To Die For Fabrics. So if I come up, I'm not sure, can you see the sparkle? I was originally looking at greens, but the greens I was looking at were pale, so that some of the darker greens would show up. And there is white and so on in there in this. And it just wasn't feeling it when I was doing the floss tosses. So for some reason, my eyes hit this fabric, and I said, well, Wizard of Oz and sparkle, that's just fun anyway. And the blue, all of the colors really look nicely against the blue, so it just ended up this way. And so the top of the tree is a balloon, and I have got except I don't have any back stitching yet. So there's a few places that back stitching, for example, this flag is attached with back stitch. I'll go back and back stitch at the end. And then there'll be, strings here for the balloon tying it to the basket. All of that will get done afterwards. There's not a ton of back stitch, but there's a few other places, so I'll just wait. But I'm super excited to stitch on this one, and I totally could see myself stitching on this on a regular basis because the colors are so fun. I mean, really, look at all those colors. Tiny Modernist charts a fabulous pattern, so they're easy to read and fun to stitch, and I'm just looking forward to it. I don't think I'll do many changes. I might do a toile for the ruby slippers. You'll see on either end of the tree this ruby slippers, and then Dorothy is wearing. And a little nod to the movie, we were in when the kids were either middle school or low high school. Probably we got this fantastic deal to do a long weekend in Washington, D.C. It was over MLK weekend in January. So Washington in January. But actually the weather turned out pretty good because we did a ton of walking. But we went to the American History Museum? We hit a bunch of museums. And the ruby red slippers were there. I loved one of the coolest things was they had recreated like a whole Julia Child set and everything, which was really kind of cool. But anyway, fun place. maybe as a little nod to our trip to DC and the movie, I will do that for her slippers. Otherwise, I love the colors. They're so much fun. And maybe as I'm stitching, I'll say, ooh, I might need to change something. But just looking at it at first glance, everything will probably be as charted. And these are charted in DMCs. So easy, easy. I don't even have to make any conversions. Okay, next. Next is something you see just about weekly, just because it's easy for me to stitch when I want something that is easy to stitch, because I'm doing it monochromatically. And that is Black Vintage Sampler from Owl Forest Embroidery. I am using this for categories designer, Owl Forest, that starts with an O. And then I think you can only use a word once. So I used Owl Forest for the pattern designer. So I can't do animal as an owl because that's against the rules. There is one that's ocean, which I could say that the ship and the submarine are on the ocean, but I want to actually use that ocean word for travel, because both of you travel in the ocean on either a ship or in the ocean on a submarine. So there we go. That's going to get pulled out, even if it wasn't being pulled out for things like Zooms or whatever. It would get pulled out anyway because I want to go for categories. And I can't just fold it over halfway anymore because look, I did the little cat. So I purposely did that because if you remember from last week, I accidentally had a mark on one of the squares on my fabric. My marker hit it. Well, after immediately counting, I realized that the cat would cover up that, so I immediately stitched that. I also did some work on the house because yet again, I am trying to fill in and finish the house. This is right between a few pages, so it's going a little slower there. And I'm not sure how much more I did than that, to be honest with you. This is done on an 18 count rainy day from Bestitchme. And okay, look at, this is the full piece. I don't think it goes completely down, but it goes pretty far. And this is how wide it'll be. That is the full width. So that's where we are right now. Love it. Always have so much fun stitching this one. And you'll probably see it next week, but of course, no guarantees. Who knows? I just find it so much fun, you know? So I'm riding that wave until it becomes something that's more of a chore. Sometimes it's tough with those big projects, you know? You really love them, but then they take a while. So sometimes you need to take that break. Okay, next. So every month I have been stitching on the Garden Journal series from Cottage Garden Samplings, and I've been starting them in the given month. So this was May's Lily of the Valley. And you're going to see a slight difference from the picture, although you may not notice it. It's kind of like, you know how when there's two pictures and you're trying to figure out, if I showed this and then put it down and then show this and you're like, I don't remember where the change is. I'll point it out. But anyway, I am loving this stitch. I really love the colors of it, and I really am enjoying the fabric. I pulled out my Nantucket Sky again from Fabrics by Stephanie, as you know, one of my all-time favorites. And I actually did just recently place an order with Stephanie. Now, Stephanie is usually she is one of the hand dyers that takes a longer time. I think right now, her website may say 6 weeks. I've certainly gone even longer than that sometimes waiting. But I go into it knowing that. I bought some more Nantucket Sky from her, knowing that I will be using it for other projects. And I think I bought another thing of Friendship Greene, knowing that. So it's things like that for Mother's Day, I said, let's shore up some of my most favorite colors. So that's what it looks like, and I adore it. The greens look so nice against this, and just every color I've done. This is going to be a bird. I know it just looks like a lump at the moment because it doesn't have an eye or a beak. This is what I had to change. So let me show you if I can. If I pull out the flosses, this was supposed to be the outer part of those flowers. Beautiful blue, love it. Well, I started stitching them and it just blended in way too much with this. So I got a little worried. If I went through all of them, they are being filled with, I believe it's this one. Let me pull it. This color. So I said, okay, well, you'll be able to see the little filling, but will it just look like stray dots on there? So what I did was I flip-flopped it. I used this color for the flower, and I did the inside this color. And I love how it looks. It just looks like a cascade of color down this side. Now, I did the same thing here. These 3 hearts that you see are supposed to be this color. No, they aren't. They're supposed to be this color, and they are going to be filled in with this color. So I am doing that the proper way. But there are 2 more flowers. You see these stems? They're supposed to be this color and filled in with white. Well, that's really not going to work because, again, you're not going to be able to see it. So what I might do, I was originally like, well, maybe I'll do them in white because I think the white will show up a little bit more because it will contrast with the blue rather than the blue. But that would mean this color blue would be filling in all the flowers. And the whole point was to have some contrast. So what I might do is I'll go to my DMC book and floss book, and I'll see if I can find something that would complement and be similar to this and do that as the outer, and then but would show up on my fabric, and do the white on the inner. I think those are the only changes. That color, well, and around the word love, I'll do the same change as I did over here, and I'll flip-flop them. But for the most part, that's really all that's shown. And then you have the big lily of the valleys over here, and the words are in more purpley. So I think it'll be fine. But I am so enjoying this one. I did have to do some evaluating, ripping out of threads and of stitches and so on when I realized that blue wouldn't work. But I did some of this. I think I worked on this a little bit yesterday. I didn't have a lot of stitching time yesterday, but I wanted to get a little bit more on this one. So I was happy to get a few more stitches in. So I'm really enjoying that. That is, and it still is, my favorite of the months so far to stitch, I have to say. If I had to guess which one would get finished first, it might be that one, in the sense of after the month's done, I could see myself going back to it again and again, just because it's fun for me to stitch. Okay, next. This poor faux coverage. This is it for the rotation. I am going to put it away at this point. But again, because it was such a busy week and I certainly didn't bring this traveling with me, this is mini sunflower cottage, and it's charted by Heaven and Earth's Designs, which is currently having a Mother's Day sale. I don't know 100% when it ends. My guess was maybe midnight at the end of Mother's Day, but don't quote me on that. If you go to the site, you might be able to get some more information. And this is charted by Heaven and Earth, and it is artwork by Dona Gelsinger. And I'm still at the top. But what's fun is I did do some of these pinks, which is part of the umbrella. So I did start to jump into more vibrant colors. And it's not coming out as an umbrella yet. It's still a lot of pinks, but it's there. So this is done on an 18 count white aida, 2 strands over 1, full cross. And I'm not sure. I know for a fact, because yesterday I worked on this, I did do some more of the pinks. There's some white there that I also worked on this week that you're not gonna be able to see until it's filled in, because it's the white on the white, but it's there. So I did a bit of that, and I think I did some more fill-ins of colors and did some confetti-like fill-in, which you obviously are gonna not really notice because it's just stray pieces here and there. But as pretty much with everything this week, it didn't get a ton of work, but I'm gonna call it at this point. I think I want to work on the dragons one next. Mini Until the End, I think it's called. I'm not 100% sure. So I think that one, which is also blues, so you'll get to see more blues. I think that's the one that will come out for some stitching next week. So keep an eye out on that. Alrighty, next. Next I did, I want to finish this one. I really do. And for some reason, and I don't mind stitching on it, but it just seems to get kind of put aside. It's Kringles from Little House Needleworks. I started this in May of 2020, so we are 3 years in. This was, I jumped into the whole mania in 2020, and I think people are doing it this year. There was 5 Mondays in May. No, I think there was only 4. There was 4 or 5, and I did either 4 or 5 starts. I started every Monday. I started a piece, if I remember correctly. It's 3 years ago. maybe I don't remember correctly. But anyway, I am making this a 2-story building, not a 3-story building. That was the decision made after I had finished this top, and I was really getting burnt out, that top and a bunch of bricks. And I said, if I'm doing 3 stories, I'm not sure I'll ever finish it. And I dropped it down to 2, and I am so happy with that choice. And here we are. That's where I am. This is being stitched on an 18 count Artemis from Bestitchme. And pretty much it's just the center I'm working on. So this centerpiece, I knew, even though I was making it a 2-story, I knew I wanted to keep that. I loved that clock. And so that was a no-brainer. The other ones are still up in the air to a certain degree. So I wanted to fill in. I am using Petite Treasure braid for that. So, which is not the called for. What I did was I took 1 strand of 422, which is called, and I mixed it, and it's called with some other specialty kind of sparkly stuff. See how technical I am. But I decided to try this Petite Treasure braid, PBO2. And I take 1 strand of each and I stitch it. And in person, it sparkles. I'm not sure if the sparkle is going to show up on there. I still have to do, I'll backstitch there's hands of the clock. I'll do that later, and I'll backstitch that at the end. And then what I wanted to do, I really wanted to get this room finished this week. I overestimated the amount of stitching time I might have. So I did, finish the bottom of the trees. I did the little fencing, and then I started some of the snow. So I still have to finish a bunch of snow. I think I have to put some little floral, like red berry kind of floral in the top, and the poor little birds, I think they need eyes and feet and things like that at the top of the tree. Oh, and inside the tree, there's just like little openings where you fill it in with, it's the same color as the snow. I think it's an ecru, just to kind of fill in the tree a little bit. So there's still more there, but I'm much closer, and I enjoyed using the Petite Treasure braid. I didn't have a lot of problems with it. I don't know if I'm doing it the way I'm supposed to or whatever, but it seems to be working for me. I want to say that the chandeliers on the first floor, which I'll do, also might be that combination. I don't know if it's with the 422 or not, but I'm pretty sure I bought some more of that this week. Is it PBO? No, it's not PBO2. Nope, it's PBO3. So I might need to get some more PBO2. Just so that, or maybe I do that color in the chandeliers and make it quite a different sparkle. We'll see. But anyway, that's where that is. Really, who was I just watching? And they said one of their goals is a reach goal, and it was to finish something at the end of this month. And whichever Flosstuber it was, it escapes me at the moment. But I guess finishing this by Christmas would be a reach goal for me. I really don't think it's going to happen. It's a nice thought, but if I'm being realistic, it probably won't happen. But we just keep plugging away, and I enjoy stitching on it. And this was something new. I'd never used the Petite Treasure braid, so it exposed me to something fun. So that's always good too. All right, this, I think, I brought this with me on my travels. I couldn't travel stitch while traveling because I had to drive. So, but there was a day where I just wanted something where I didn't have to change colors. And so my summer Quaker is perfect for that. Jardin Prive. And it is being stitched, all 4. So I'm stitching them all with DMC 823 on 4 different colors of fabric. And here we go. This one here is 18 count My Sunshine, and it is from Bestitchme. And I believe this is all done here. This flower I extended down on this piece, and I did some more of the tree. So this is the base. The tree is almost done. And on all 4 of them, there is some sort of village or houses or whatever. This one, you've got an element also along with the houses down here. And what's funny is if you were to stitch them as one, there's a space, but you could see the element finishes in the autumn piece. And she's done that in a few different places where one bleeds into the next. So you could stitch these all as one. Whether you changed colors of flosses, Or you could even do it a full monochromatic, really, if you wanted to. But that's what it looks like. And yeah, I'm still plugging along. We, Beth, the Steadfast Stitcher, and I are starting, among others, we're not the only two, Lila Studios Summer Quaker on June 21st, the first day of summer. So my goal, and I think it's doable. I think this one's not a reach. I think this is doable. My goal is to get this one finished by then, because I cannot have two projects named Summer Quaker. I'll confuse myself, frankly. So that's the goal. I very rarely have finished goals, but that one I'm going to try my very best to keep to. Maybe I'll do that one if I'm zooming rather than that Black Vintage Sampler. And then the very last piece I picked up, and I did a little bit. This didn't get a lot of stitching time, maybe a couple hundred stitches. It's for a friend. Hello from Liz Matthews. This was also a start this month. I thought I'd started in April and I couldn't decide on fabrics. I eventually did. I am not stitching, if you missed it last week's video, I'm not stitching all those elements around the border. I am going to do this little inset. I'm just doing the border piece. It's not just a straight line. She has a cute little repeating, stitch, no stitch, stitch, no stitch, and back and forth. So it looks cute. I am changing that. I am keeping most of the colors. Well, I'm doing DMC. But I'm not sure if the DMC alternative on the yellow will work on my fabric. When I get to it, I'll make a decision there. But that's what I have so far. Not a huge amount difference from last time. This is done on an 18 count. I wrote down Nantucket Sky. No, it's Friendship Green. This is Friendship Green by Fabrics by Stephanie. And I was a little worried. I was like, okay, this box, I counted and recounted. So I was 95% sure it was right. But I was kind of thinking about, wow, those flowers, I don't know if they're gonna, if I did the box right. So I had to do these flowers because I wanted to make sure. And I did. Well, what's funny is I messed up somewhere and it was going to be off. But luckily, because I did have that little bit of border to count off of, I was able to catch myself. I pulled out the stitches that I did wrong. So this week, I stitched only a little bit on it, but then I stitched wrong stitches and had to pull them out as well. So that added to less progress. But there we go. It's a fun stitch. It's a nice stitch. I stitched Yonder from Hello from Liz Matthews, and I really enjoyed that one. It's in my scrapbook at this point. I have already fully finished that one. And this one will be scrapbooked as well. But I do enjoy her patterns. I do have a few more, and you might see something in my shopping. So that is the stitching that I did this week. So some got very little, but I did manage to touch several of my projects. I like the idea. I don't know if any of you watch. You should. Tina, the 14 count Aida girl stitcher. I really like Tina. I met her actually originally on Beth's Zoom. So Steadfast Stitcher Beth has a Facebook group called Crafts and Books, and they do stitching Zooms, and they also do a book club reading, and they read a book every month, and they do a talk on it. They Zoom a talk on it. I haven't really done those yet, but I have participated quite a bit in the stitching Zooms, and Tina has been on them. And Tina started recently her own Flosstube channel, 14 count Aida girl. And where was I going with this? There was a point I was making. Well, I'm going to basically tell you to watch her anyway. And oh, that's so funny. I'm got my mind thinking about literally the things I have to do after this video. Oh my goodness. Plus, I'm also in my mid-50s. I will be 54 this October. So I always chalk some things up to that, I'm in that whole like change of life kind of brain, and really words and things sometimes completely go out of my mind. And I know it, and I'll know where I'm going about 2 hours from now, because my brain will be like, well, silly, that's exactly what you meant to say. I really don't know where I was going with it, but I'm going to link Tina anyway. But maybe it had to do with Beth's Zoom? No, it had to do with Tina, something Tina's doing. I don't know, watch her, maybe you'll find out, and then you can tell me what I forgot to tell you. All right. Plans, nothing really set in stone. We're just going to move on because that was just silly. But this is real life. This is a 53-year-old who is, changing in life, and things just, your brain kind of sometimes goes foggy. So we're going to keep it real. Plans. The one thing I do want to stitch on this month, because in my categories, pattern title, I didn't think I had any, but I have on the beach. So my beach piece is going to get a little bit of stitching this month, even though I bumped it from the 25/7 spot. May not get a ton of stitching, but it'll get a little bit of stitching. Whether or not that gets done this week all depends on how much stitching time I have eventually. Okay, shopping. I do have a little bit of shopping to show you. I have also one that I haven't bought, but I was thinking of buying, and I was curious if anybody else would be interested in stitching it with me. And I don't know what color fabric I would do, so I'd have to think about that one as well. But if you wanted to, I want to show you that. So I did participate. Coffee Craft. I always want to put an S on the end of that. Fabrics is a UK fabric dyer. I link her Facebook. Well, I give you the information on her Facebook group below. I've yet to figure out how to properly link Facebook groups. It's just a bunch of gobbledygook. And I know some of you have tried to help me, and it still didn't work. Technology and me. I was DMing on Instagram, and I did say to somebody, because I accidentally recorded myself and then saying oops or something. I don't know. And then I couldn't figure out how to delete it, so I had sent it to her. And I said, technology and me can be quite dangerous sometimes. I know enough to kind of do this, but then I start making mistakes, and I just roll with it. I mean, really, you just have to laugh at yourself, because what's the alternative? Getting upset? No, I just laugh. But anyway, so I give you the name of the Facebook group. I almost forgot where I was going with that too. And so she does... not weekly. I don't even know how often she does them. She recently did another one where she had fabrics that are available, because she hand dyes and then you just claim it. There's no shopper type of thing. And the last set didn't have any 18 count aida, so I was safe there. The colors were beautiful though. Also, being UK, she starts it at like 9 o'clock on a Sunday morning. Okay, I'm a bad sleeper, but I'm not that bad a sleeper. I'm still usually asleep at 4 a.m. my time, so that kind of saves me some money that way too. But I did pick this one up. It's a little darker than I remember, but I think it'll be kind of fun. And it does not have a name. Generally hers don't. It's an 18 count aida, so it's a bit more sagey. So if I had something that was maybe lighter colored, maybe if I did some sort of, I don't do a lot of mirrors, but I do like some of those patterns and some of the other designers that are similar to mirrors. So maybe something like that. Maybe one of the gnomes, if I do some other ones, might be fun on this or something. I'm not exactly sure, but I picked it up. So that came in this week, and you can see, oh, that shows you, see how there's some slight variations to the sage. So it's kind of fun. And then I did get my Under the Sea fabric of the month from Leslie. And if you do not want to see, I'm the 18 count aida. Big surprise, right? And this was April's fabric of the month. I know she has a color plan for May, but I do believe she's going to take June off because everything seems to be backed up a little bit. This is beautiful. It is called Rose Hips. And I know in the comments that people have started to receive it, and they keep telling her this has to be a color in your regular line. So maybe it will be. If you're not part of the Fabric of the Month Club, maybe it will show up. So if you don't want to see, look away if you want to be surprised. But if you'd like to see the 18 count version of Rose Hips from Under the Sea Fabrics, Fabric of the Month in April, this is what it looks like. Isn't that beautiful? I think that's so gorgeous. It really is pretty. And I don't have a lot of projects. That might be showing up a little bit lighter. In person, it's a little bit darker, but not much. I don't have a lot of projects on this color, but it's very pretty. And I have something that I may do, so I'm going to talk to you about that in a minute. I did go to, because I was in Connecticut and I had a little bit of time to myself, I sent Mo a text and I said, when you leave me to my own devices, this is where I go. And it was a picture of Thistle Needleworks, which is in Wethersfield, Connecticut. If you wanted to go there, it is on the Celestine Highway, close towards the border of Hartford. So, but it is in Wethersfield. And I grew up in Wethersfield. When I started stitching though, Thistle Needleworks, for those of you who know Connecticut, was in Glastonbury, and that's where I shopped back way when I first started stitching. And then at some point, I don't know when they moved, but I was out of stitching at that point. So I picked up a few different things. Knowing that I had bought some fabrics, I didn't go crazy, but I did buy some things because, you know, it's fun, right? So I did pick up, and again, I picked up some more Petite Treasure braid, but I was trying to go for some more for Kringles. This one's PB03. I am using 02 in Kringles, but I think I might be able to use this for even, if not the chandelier, like the little, the lights call for something sparkly. So I could do this for the lights because that would be a bit more kind of like a bright light thing. So that will come into use. Now, I don't very often buy variegated flosses over dyed flosses because I don't generally use them. But I mean, 2 walls. Well, one wall I think had all silks and one wall had all of the different over dyeds. And I was just looking around and shopping, and I do have a few Threadworks. And so I said, oh, these are really pretty colors, especially because it's springtime right now. So I did pick these up. Beautiful green, which is called Green Apple, 1405 Green Apple. And this one is 1056 Turquoise Blue. And they both have very, I want to say gentle variegation. Might be a nice way. Although in there you can start to see a bit with the green and the blue. There's different variegations in there. So I did pick those up. One of these days I am going to try some projects. I have an idea for some projects, but I just haven't started them yet. I was looking for the Valdani Pearl Cotton because I do want to try that after Lost in Stitches, right? Is Lisa Lost in Stitches? I think she is. I'm going to link her. If it's not Lost in Stitches, I'll link what it is. Lisa's got some projects that she uses the Valdani, and they're beautiful, beautiful. And I've never tried it. So I was looking for that. They didn't have that. They did have the DMC Pearl Cotton, but but in talking with Lisa, I really want to try the Valdani ones. So I'll just have to order it. But I did pick those up, and they didn't have 2 of the blue, but they had 2 of the green apple. So at some point you are going to see this as a giveaway. This is for you guys. I got you guys one, or one of you. So that will come in the future. Not sure exactly when. The other thing I picked up for all of you, and as we get closer to the summer, I will give this as a giveaway. And it's a little Lizzie Kate snippet, and just hooray for the USA. I thought that was cute. So I always do a little bit of shopping for you guys when I can. Then some shopping for myself. I picked up, like I said, I don't have a lot of Nora Corbett's or Mirabilias. I'm sorry. I did do a Nora Corbett Bells of Ireland. And I saw this one. It's called Miss Simbi, and I thought it was pretty. So I picked that up. This was in the new patterns section, although it's copyright 2019, so it's not no, but maybe somebody just put it there. I just thought it was pretty. So I picked that one up. And that would be fun on some sort of nice over-dyed fabric. I think it would really pop it more. So I did pick up that. No idea, no specific plans of starting it at any point, but I did pick it up. And then I saw this, and I was trying to find a copyright date, and I can't find it on here. But I have never seen this one from Hello from Liz Matthews, and I really liked it. It's called Charleston. So there's a couple elements. These right here, these floral elements are beautiful. It looks like it's a repeating floral element, just mirror imaged. But then I love the little pieces inside too. So I thought, okay, I could stitch this all as one, which I might because it's so much fun and it's beautiful. Or I could stitch like the flower and just have a nice long piece. I'm not sure what the size of that is. For those of you who stitch things like bookmarks, that might be fun. And then even the centerpieces are kind of fun. They could be done on their own. But I think I'll do it as a whole. Again, no specific plans on this one, but I just thought it was fun. So I did pick that one up. And then I was at the register, and you know how, that was it. See, that was all I was going to shop for. I ended up getting one more pattern because, of course, they have the box at the register, right? Or the basket, and then you flip through and you see. And I was gifted a different Bent Creek, one of the long ones, the rose, and I love it. I haven't stitched it yet, but it's in my grouping to stitch. And I saw this one. Each day provides its own gifts. And, of course, there is a house over the water and a boat. So, of course, that caught my eye right away. And I just loved it. So, at some point, I would like to stitch this one and the other one. I don't know the size of them. They are very long. Now, I can't show you. Let's see if I can show you. In here on the front, it's shown as a frame. The top part of that has the actual pattern, so I can't show you that. But then you can also see it done as a drum. I don't know. I have thought about both this one and the other one that I have, trying to figure out a way to rechart it so it was more up and down rather than all the way across. Does this tell me the stitch count? Each day gives its own. So 208 by 48. So if it was on 32 count, it would be 13 by 3. I don't know on an 18 count what it could be. I'm not sure. So that's kind of my dilemma when I'm stitching, when I was thinking about stitching the other one and this one, is I don't know if I want to do them all the way across. They're so cool that way. And I don't know if I have the ability to kind of change them up a little bit. So we'll see. If I wanted to keep them under 12, what would a 20 count would keep it under 12 inches? And because I can do that math. I cannot do 208 divided by 18 in my head. I don't have that kind of math ability. I need a calculator for that. I would, if I could keep it under 12 inches, I could scrapbook them type of thing. So we'll see. I'm not really sure on that, what I'll end up doing. So stay tuned after I do some math. But I really did like that. And I was like, oh, you got me. You got me at the register. Okay, then I also picked up, I was talking with a friend and they wanted to pick up Summer Quaker from Leela's Studio, but it's been out of stock, out of stock, out of stock. And I said, well, did you look online on their Etsy shop? Because they have a dedicated Etsy shop themselves. Maybe they have it as a PDF. And sure enough, they did. Well, when I was looking at that, I have always looked at Spring Quaker. Oh, and well, Tina 14 Count Stitcher is stitching this one. I know that. I don't really think that was where I was going when I mentioned her before, but she is stitching this if you do want to see it. But I've struggled with this one. The center part of it is what always caught my eye. I love, love, love that center. And I ended up buying it because I favorited it and then I got sent a coupon. So, well, then when you get sent a coupon, you know, then you actually buy it. And I'm pretty sure I didn't talk about that last week, did I? I don't know. I didn't look at my notes that closely. Well, the reason why I'm mentioning it, because I have some thoughts. I have questions and I have thoughts. So even if I did mention it last week, ignore that because we want to talk about it for a minute. So then I struggled, would I want to stitch the whole thing or just the center? And I've seen people stitching the whole thing. My question is the browns, I'm not loving the browns, to be perfectly honest. Nothing against them, but that doesn't yell. Ooh, I don't know if you could hear the coffee machine just beeping there. It doesn't yell spring to me, even though some of the other center part yells spring. So I really kind of struggled with this one. So I had two thoughts. And this is where my question is there a hashtag for this? Because I'm sure people along the way, there's always somebody that's super creative and they've changed colors. Did somebody change the browns? Is there a hashtag where I could watch? And if somebody changed the browns. I was thinking maybe a nice green, like a deep hunter green, because, you know, spring growth, leaves, grass, everything is green. I struggle with that though, because some of the elements like the hearts are red and I don't want it to look Christmassy. I could change those. That is an option and just do some changes that way. And then I would keep the other colors, but I don't know what fabric I would do it on. My other option, if I do want to keep it browns, I'm still leaning towards maybe changing it. So again, I would love your advice, but brown and pink are, oh, if you didn't want to be spoiled, I'm sorry. I just showed you the under the sea fabric. Well, rose hips you would get is a pink, but if you don't want to see it, stop watching for a minute. But brown and pink are a classic color combination. I use them in paper crafting, loved using them in paper crafting. So if I were to use the brown, look away if you don't want to see the fabric, what would it look like on this? I might have to change a few of the colors. I think the white would show up on this though. I might have to change a few things if they're too close to this shade, but I think it would work. So that is an option if I want to keep the chart as is. Okay, I've put the fabric down. Sorry about that. I like spoilers. So I'm like, tell me how the book ends. Tell me how it ends before I even read it. But I know some of you do like to be surprised. I didn't even think about that. So that is an option, but I still really love the idea of new growth, spring greens, and like a nice, good, maybe not the darkest hunter of green, but along those lines. In which case, I would have to do any thoughts on what I might change some of the colors. Maybe I could go pinks with the green versus the reds on some of the things. We'll see. So, but if there is a hashtag, if there have been color changes, if you know somebody specifically that changed it and showed it either on Instagram or Flosstube, please let me know. I would love to, because I would like to stitch the whole part of this pattern. If I really can't decide, that center is just gorgeous. And I've always wanted to stitch that centerpiece. So I did buy that. And then the other thing that I haven't bought, but it's caught my eye. This is from Owl Forest, and it's actually called Dandelions. So it's in my favorites list as a potential to buy. Isn't that pretty? Would anybody be interested in stitching that as well? Let me know. I love the colors. You have to find a fabric that the white would show up, because there's quite a bit of white. And I think you can see it on the screen. I mean, I could certainly do it on Friendship Green, right? And maybe if I can't find anything else, I will. Because everything else really pops on the green. Maybe I'd do it on Friendship Green. But anybody else want to do it? I might just buy it anyway. But, you know, hey, it's always fun when you can do stitch with somebody. So that is a potential buy. I haven't bought it yet, but that's on my list. Okay, and that was it for shopping. Alrighty, so this week what did I do with it? Oh, you know what? I put it somewhere else thinking I already had a winner for it, but it was the floral kit that I was giving away this week, and I'm just gonna laugh at myself. Those of you who put your name in the blue bowl know what it is because you asked for it. So we're just going to go with it. We're just going to keep going. I don't have time to... I can put a couple pieces together. That's the extent of my editing. Don't ask me to do much more than that. But I really just don't have the time today. I am going to be going. So we're just going to pick a winner. So my winner for that floral kit is CLM19. Congratulations. So if you could get back to me with your address, I will mail that out to you. And I am going to take a break this week because I am very behind in shipping out my giveaways. And that's on me. That's not on anybody else. Everybody has claimed them, but between life and traveling and this and that, and I'm way behind. When I say I'm behind, I'm way behind. So I have several to do and give away. And I'm seeing them right here. They just need to be packaged up and then put a shipping label on them. I send them all just for my own ease. I do send them with tracking labels and all of that and that kind of stuff. And I do my best to make sure it gets to you. Obviously, if the post offices mess up, you know, we can't do much about that, but you know, it is the way it is. But anyway, I do have something planned for next week. I already know it is a pattern that I'm going to give away next week. So stay tuned for that next week. That should be that. All right, so that's the giveaway stuff. That's short this week, and I am shedding here. Alrighty, wrap up. That's what my notes say, wrap up. So that's what I'm going to do. That is the stitching part. And see, look, it took me 58 minutes. So I did actually go under an hour, but not quite. So let's talk life real quick, and then I am skedaddling out of here. Well, I'm skedaddling downstairs to the kitchen is where I'm going. But anyway, one thing I did want to ask, and I asked in my Facebook group. So for those of you who may have missed the life stuff, I did start a Stitching by the Shore. That's what it's called. Facebook group. So it's not like my own personal page. It is a group. And I have some people that have asked to friend me. And Facebook, I'm so leery of people being, you know, you hear about all the times people get cloned and then you friend them and then it was not them and all of that. If you did friend me on Facebook, let me know, like on Instagram or something. And I will, I mean, I don't post on Facebook. My life is very boring on Facebook. I pretty much just use it to look at stitching. But, I'm happy to friend you, but you're not going to see anything from me. Anything I post or talk about is on my stitching group at this point. But I asked in my stitching group, did anybody know? So we've started to hear everybody talking about StitchCon, 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 StitchCon. It's coming up in June. And I'm so excited for each and every one of you that are going. I'm sure you'll have a blast and so much fun, and it is awesome. I myself am not going. I don't know. I don't know if I would do, I've never really done retreats, and I'm not sure I would do something that big. That's really kind of big for me. I would start small besides that. And at some point there are some in New Jersey, and there's some in Pennsylvania. So I might, kind of branch out, that kind of thing first. But, everybody in the knock will be talking about it. And then there's those of us just that are not going. And I'm okay with it. Like, there's very little that I have a fear of missing out, the FOMO. I can generally find something that I'm happy doing at a given time. And so the fact that I'm missing out on something generally doesn't bother me. But I know sometimes it can make people sad. Maybe you really want to go and you can't afford it, or something in your life right now, you just can't go, or I don't know. There's a multitude of reasons, and many of which could be beyond your control. And so I'm sure it makes lots of people sad when they hear all about this. So I'd asked my Facebook group, I could have sworn, and again, maybe I'm imagining it or dreamt it, I thought last year a big Flosstuber did some sort of virtual something during StitchCon for all those people that couldn't attend. I know it's 2 weekends, one of which is Father's Day weekend. So I'm not sure how much I could do then, because obviously we're going to be celebrating Mo. But, I can figure. And then the first weekend A is the weekend before. But is there somebody, am I completely imagining it? Is my brain completely, and not just necessarily a Zoom, but like there was like this event. And again, maybe I'm imagining it. So let me know if you know of one that was, because I would love to kind of maybe look at it, explore it, and see if it'd be something fun to participate in over the weekend, A and or B. And if there isn't, is there something fun that we all want to do? I have no idea. When I say that, I don't have anything in my brain like ready to go with that. When I say it, I'm kind of spitballing here and throwing things up and seeing what, but would anybody interested in trying to have some fun either or the weekends? Again, as we get closer, I'd have to figure out what may or may not be going on. Would you be interested? What kind of ideas do you think? Anything that you think would be fun? I don't know if I could actually pull anything off. So I'm not promising anything, but I would love to kind of explore that idea. And maybe we just do something small just to kind of commemorate it ourselves, and have a at-home kind of fun sort of thing. I don't know. Let me know. I would love to hear your thoughts. And again, I want to say there was something, and it's like niggling at the end of my brain, and I just really can't figure that out. But you all know everything. So, and I mean that not joke, I mean that real. So somebody's going to know if I am not completely imagining it. Okay, so that was the one thing I did want to mention before I lost you with all of my crazy life stuff. And if you do want to join the Facebook group, we do talk other things besides, or I do. There are others that are starting to jump in, again, but I do bring up things other than life, or other than stitching. I bring up life stuff. I bring up other things. So if you're only interested always in stitching, especially in your groups, it's not the place for you. But if you want maybe a eclectic little of everything, it's like if you've ever seen my Instagram, it's a little of everything, right? If Shamrock was still with us, I'm sure I would inundate my Facebook group with pictures of Shamrock. But if you kind of like that little mix and whatever, but you do want to talk stitching as well, it is Stitching by the Shore. And I put a little dash and I say Laura, because I don't like there's another Stitching by the Shore, but you just have to search it in Facebook and the group should come up. If it doesn't, let me know. Alrighty, other than that, so I mentioned traveling. We did have to take a quick, and it was a quick trip, turnaround up to Connecticut. We went up on Monday. Now we needed to take 2 cars, so both Mo and I drove on Monday. Traffic was horrible, horrible. It was a Monday. What did I expect, right? I'm so spoiled when we make that trek up and down on the weekends. It's so much quieter. And I mean, we didn't leave at the crack of dawn because we weren't, we were kind of in a holding pattern on Monday, waiting for Tuesday to come. So we didn't leave maybe like at 5:30, which we normally might, but we left on the earlier side of the day, but there was a lot of traffic. I'm finding too, with the driving and the bright sun, I have glasses that go over my glasses, but they're scratched and plasticky and I can't really see. So I wasn't able to use them. And I found that really bothered my eyes. So it was a long drive. Made my eyes really not want to see. So we got there, and that was when I worked on my summer Quaker because I did want to do some decompressing stitching, but I didn't want anything really that was difficult to think. So we actually went down in the lobby of the hotel and he read and I stitched. Well, and then he was watching, I don't know what he was watching, but he was laughing out loud. I was like, people are going to think you're completely off the wall because you're just laughing at nothing. If they didn't realize he had headphones and stuff in. But anyway, and then we found, if anybody is in the Cromwell Rocky Hill area, or you want to go to a place that has a fantastic Indian food, and they will make just about everything vegan. Some things are listed as vegan, but I also just said, I want this and I want it vegan. And they said, no problem. Let me know and I will give you the name. We had a wonderful, awesome Indian meal, Indian food meal. And now I want to go back every time we go to Connecticut. And then on Tuesday, so the reason we both went up partially was, well, we needed 2 cars, but we also, we can't find we get mixed reviews of dermatologists down here. Now, I live at the beach and the neighborhoods skew on the older side. You'd think that dermatologists you'd be tripping over them, but you get really mixed reviews. And Mo and I both go every year because I have a family member who passed away from melanoma, and we just have the type of skin that you have to be careful with, right? So it's really, really important us to find somebody we trust, somebody we know that's not going to miss anything, because you miss something, that's no good. It's really, really no good. So we both actually made back-to-back appointments at our Connecticut dermatologist, and on Tuesday morning, that's where we were getting our yearly checks. Happy to say both of us passed our yearly checks and we do not have to go for another year. Although I do, as usual, need to do my sunscreen. But this is a public service announcement. If you do spend time in the sun, please, please, please be careful of the sun. Always watch. I had on my arm and on my face, I had 2 things I wanted her to look at because they did look a little bit different, unusual than what my skin would look like. Luckily, she said they are not anything dangerous. They are basically your normal kind of skin damage, but nothing that is going to lead to something bad. So please, always, if you think you need to have something checked, please do so. Get it checked. Please be careful of your time in the sun, and please take precautions in the sun when you are out there, whether it's being covered with sunscreen or clothes, or when I take to games, I have a sun umbrella. And so it is good for rain. It works for rain, but the inside of it has some sort of UV covering so that if I'm out in the bright, bright sun, I can also be under the umbrella, and it is specifically helped to keep the rays from hitting me. So please think about all those different things, because my aunt, God rest her, did not last long, and she was an avid gardener, spent all her time outside, and it just wasn't great once she was diagnosed. So please, please, please take care of yourselves and your skin. Okay, that's my PSA. So anyways, we did that, and then Mo trekked up to Massachusetts because Connor was done with school, and he needed to take stuff that was going to the storage unit, then fill a van in order to bring that back here for the summer, all that good stuff. Connor was right full on to the end with his finals and papers and stuff, so they actually had to do all that separating that day. It was a super long day for Mo and Connor, but they did get it done. In the meantime, I took Mo's car and I went and I visited my mom. For those of you who do not know, my mother is in a nursing home. She has rapidly developed dementia of a sort, and she also broke her kneecap. She's had multiple falls and so on and so forth. So she needs to be in a safe place for her, and that's where she is. So I went and I visited her. It was a beautiful day. I went right after my appointment. So it was early in the morning. It was quiet at the home. And I took her outside because it was beautiful. And they have a beautiful courtyard area. She's not allowed to walk. Well, she can with a walker, but I'm not allowed to do it because I don't work at the facility. So they put her in a wheelchair, and I wheeled her there. And let me tell you, I'm not a really good wheelchairer. But we went down and, we walked around and we looked at the flowers because it was all, it's beautifully done and it was nice. The sun was out and we just sat outside for a few hours and it was a really nice visit. I brought her back and then I went to Thistle's Needlework and I had a trip and my visit there. I did lunch. I tried to stitch, but I don't know if my visit triggered something in my mom, and some of her dementia includes a paranoia of sorts, and so we were all kind of getting multiple calls, and we're really trying to do our best to let her know that everything's okay. So my stitching was I could have stitched that day, but I couldn't settle. I was like, maybe in the hotel. I went to a park. I went to a few different places just to kind of settle and so on and so forth. But, and she's doing great now. On the way home driving on Wednesday, I had Connor in the car with me and, when she couldn't remember, but she was upset about something. She didn't know what it was. But then she got on the phone with Connor and she calmed right down and she had a chat with Connor and it was nice. So she's doing okay at the moment. But I choose to remember that we had a really nice visit and, we do the best for her otherwise. But then we had Tuesday night, we had dinner with my in-laws and my in-laws have come down to Connecticut, to Delaware with us for Megan's graduation. So Megan graduates on Saturday, tomorrow. Thank you very much for all the well wishes. I really do appreciate it. It was all, and some of you have sent me messages and everything else, for well wishes. And I can't tell you how much that just makes me smile. But so they're down here right now. So we all came down on Wednesday again. A really bright sun, lots of traffic. Connor was out of school mode, so he was really chatty, and I only half listened to him, so I don't know half of what he said. But sometimes it was crazy in parts that it generally isn't, and then a part where I was expecting traffic, it was a little quieter, but there was a lot of concentrating with that as well. So so we did that, and that was exhausting though. By the time we got home, we didn't cook. We took my in-laws out to dinner at the restaurant in Dewey. We figured this is it. The season's coming now, and we're not going to hit Dewey for the rest of the year until September, October. So so it was really nice. We had a nice dinner. Yesterday, obviously they're here today and tomorrow, or yesterday and today, just kind of, we're doing stuff, just kind of, and then we have family coming tonight, and we're doing a barbecue, so I'm prepping all day today. Today is a prep day for me, and I've got to make the coleslaw. We have a great orzo lemon kale pasta salad, and Mo wants me to do the Guinness cake, so I'm going to do that, and I think he's doing baked beans in the crock, so just fun. All of the sides are vegan. He will do, for the meat eaters, regular kind of meat, and then obviously vegan burgers for those of us who don't eat meat. So that's fun, but it's going to be busy today. And they're coming earlier, on the earlier side, so we can have a nice visit because it's Mo's cousin, so my in-laws are actually her aunt and uncle. So she obviously wants to have a nice visit. So that's that. And then tomorrow we are having a full day of graduation. So that's tomorrow. I have no idea how it's all going to work out. The weather's not looking great. It's all under a tent. And I was talking with Megan yesterday, and she said last year's graduation it rained, but it worked out fine, all under the tent. I said, how do 300 people, plus all the guests fit under that tent? She said, it's a big tent. So I guess so. I don't know. But anyway, so that's tomorrow. And then hopefully she'll be here for a few weeks before she can move into her apartment. So that's how things are looking. It's going to be busy for the next few days. But like I said, I think things will quiet down as the week progresses next week. So that'll be fun for its own reasons. Obviously, I enjoy having company and I enjoy the visits, but then I get peopled out. I was an only child for 10 years of my life. So I like my alone time. I'm not gonna lie. And then I was, of course, always older than anybody else. My parents ended up remarrying other people. So I talk about brothers and sisters. They're technically, what, half brothers and sisters, but they're all significantly younger than me for the most part on both sides. So I was always kind of an pseudo only child in some ways. So it's just what I was used to. So I do like my alone time as well. So I will like that when that comes. And I guess that's it. That's life in a nutshell. But we've had a busy week and we will continue to have it. I'm thinking for my giveaway people, I don't know if I will pull it together today or tomorrow, and then Sunday obviously is no mail. So I'm hoping on Monday to kind of regroup, reset myself, and take care of all of you. So if CLM, is it 19, gets back to me, I will hopefully be able to get your kit out to you as well. And if you don't, that's fine. Don't worry about it. We'll get it out to you when you get a chance, once you've watched the video. I give 2 weeks for a reason. I know life is busy and sometimes people can't watch right away. And that's perfectly understandable. I get it right now. I am so behind on Flosstube. I have my list, my to-watch list and all of that. And it keeps growing and growing. And I take things out once I've watched it, but it just keeps growing and growing. So I completely understand. And that's about it. I hope you're well. I hope you're safe wherever you happen to be. And life is, it's the very best it possibly can be for you at this given time. And I wish the best for you, whatever may be happening and going on, whether it is the heights of everything or if right now it is a struggle. I'm here for you and I'm thinking about you and I'm wishing all the best for you, however it looks like. This weekend is going to be super happy for some people and super difficult for others. And I am wishing you the best, whether you are on one end of the spectrum or the other or somewhere in the middle, like a lot of us happen to be sometimes. We'll do it. But as always too, remember, enjoy your stitching. Enjoy what makes you happy. You are important and what makes you happy is important. You matter. And take time for yourself because you got to take care of yourself before you can take care of anybody else. All right, that's about it. Until next time, happy stitching.